we're in for some fun tonight. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. A viewer of the show constantly shares me stuff that he finds in Japan and other countries around his part of the world. And many times he comes across some cool stuff that I'll later feature in like a Wyvern episode. But after checking this listing out, I saw the shop had something else, so I decided to make a bulk deal. We'll do full reviews and documentations. This episode's really just to see if they arrived okay, so we're going to keep it vague. Buying used vintage from Japan can sometimes be a little bit scary, but these guitars were worth it. So we have not talked about prehistoric guitars on the show in quite some time. So I thought it was time to take a refresher on the course with a couple of special ones. So check out the top on that. Very pinstripey, but super ultra evenly flamed. The additional story behind this one is it's a fairly early release. Look at just how ambered over the clear coat is on this. You can really tell it on the binding. So this initially would have been a cherry sunburst that's kind of faded and yellowed at the same time, giving it a very unique hue. But I was fully expecting this thing to be like extra dirty, but it's not too bad. Another reason I got this one is I needed it to create the 1982 30th anniversary gold top video. There was a reason that one was delayed because I needed to wait for this one to come in. So now I have all the models I need to tell that story to its fullest, but we'll probably have to review this one first. So you can look forward to the rest of the tale shortly. This is the one the viewer of the show sent me. This is a very special guitar that I'm extra happy to document. Please tell me the headstock didn't break. That would just ruin my day today. Well, so far, so good, and it's actually way cleaner than I was expecting. This might actually stay in my collection. So this is a special run prehistoric that I've talked about as a footnote in pretty much all my previous prehistoric episodes that I didn't think I would ever actually get to document. Very pleased with this piece of history that came its way. A quick little teaser for you guys. But before we have some more fun, let's have a word from our sponsor, Sweetwater. Sweetwater is a great place to buy all your new gear, and that's from electric guitars to pianos, orchestral instruments. My favorite thing is the fact that you can pick out the instrument that you want, from your weight down to the serial number to the kind of top. When I'm looking for something special, I always go to Sweetwater, and they're going to hook you up with a sales engineer that's going to not only help you with this sale, but many of other sales down the road as well. I think I've been with mine for nearly 15 years now. Thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring tonight's episode. Now let's check out some cool cases. So our first one here needs no introduction. It's a Billy Joe Armstrong signature Gibson case. You never find these things for sale separately because they definitely belong with the guitar that they're supposed to be with because it's got the really cool leopard print interior. So you're talking mid to late 2000s era with these. The original leopard print interior. Now, they did kind of vaguely reissue this for the latest runs, but nothing will beat the original. But unfortunately, I think this got damaged during shipping. You can see the wood is cracked for the headstock. That is a big shame. I always like picking up these rare cases just to say, oh yeah, I've got one. But the secondary reason is because I thought it would be absolutely hilarious to hold the Mystic Maiden in this case if I end up keeping it. But you know what? Now that I look at it, it's not such a good fit. Which is strange because this is supposed to be a Les Paul Jr.'s case. Which tells me somebody probably stored a regular Les Paul in here and it compressed the padding. Let's test that theory real quick. Yeah. Or maybe it was just made for a different type of guitar, like it's a prototype case for a standard that never came out. That fits perfectly for a regular Les Paul. So something's kind of up with that, but in many ways that makes it good because usually these are like a really tight fit for a regular Les Paul because they're meant for a flat top. But yeah, leopard print interior, very cool, and you don't have to deal with the hot pink exterior. But our next case is actually an interesting company collaboration. So it's a Fender X Wrangler case. So we're talking jeans. It even has like, you know, where your belt loop goes around, the branding right there with both of the companies on it. But what I found just absolutely hilarious is on the bottom side of the case, like your butt, you've got a pocket and it's paisley on the interior with just the straight up Wrangler branding. I feel like this is something that could become cooler once it's out of production. But apparently there's like some fit issues with these. Like the big headstock fenders don't necessarily fit. I don't have enough fenders to really do a test fit for you guys. But the interior's just white. You get additional branding there. We've got some sort of a latch, but here's another fun thing, additional paisley. Because, you know, that's what Fender's all about. I prefer it if it was more of a blue paisley rather than the pink, but whatever. But I picked this up for one of my personal guitars. Back before I actually had a dedicated personal collection, I got this Stratocaster in that is part of the Sandblasted series, and I had to keep it. It just reminded me of like the blue-collar working man. He's got his blue jeans and his straight white shirt. So when there's a blue jeans case with the white interior, it's like, I can't not do it. So I think I'll say goodbye to the original kind of orange crushed interior one. It is cool. It's nice. It just doesn't match the guitar. Or quite honestly, fit anywhere near as snugly as this one. Yeah, you definitely have to make sure you put it underneath there. I could see how some larger headstocks might not fit in that. You just need gold accents on here or swap out your gold hardware here for chrome. Then it would be 100% perfect. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And if blue's not your style, there's also a black one. So if you got a cool black sandblasted Stratocaster, maybe that's up your alley. Next up, I purchased something off of Reverb that ended up being a viewer of the show. It's a cool set of Gibson P100 pickups. One of them is missing the cover, and apparently they're for the dog ear style. Not exactly sure how that would work, because there's no securing tabs over here for them. So I guess it would have to be routed perfectly for it, because they do not drill through here, so you can't use springs and screws. But man, these are chunky. So if you're wondering why I called it a P100 rather than a P90, it's because a P100 was an early attempt by Gibson to make a humless P90. Now the general consensus is these aren't anywhere near as good as a P90, but if you have to have humless pickups, they are an option for you, and Gibson used them stock in many models in the late 90s and early 2000s. Since then, they've kind of went back to the drawing boards, and you get things like the Sidewinder and various other names of a stacked P90, but it's essentially two P90s on top of each other. As far as the readings, this one is 9.67, which is about right, because when you have two coils together, it usually nearly doubles that reading. And our other one also appears to be working. So if nothing else, I now have a visual aid I can show you guys when we ever have to talk about P90s versus P100s. But if you have like an ES295 that you want to upgrade it to dual P100s, feel free to reach out. So I'm not going to lie, I actually bought this guitar specifically for the case and some of the candy that it still happened to have, because it's a player's grade model, and I always like to buy nice chainsaw cases when I can find them. But it just happens to be an awesome model. So no, this is not a Les Paul. This is actually an LP Fire brand, which is kind of a hard version to find of these. I have a essentially new old stock version one in my collection, if you'd like to see how these things looked absolutely brand spanking new. However, I'm fooling you guys. This is not the first time I've unboxed this. It's a recreation because unfortunately there's a little problem with the neck. At first I thought the neck was twisted, but when sighting a neck, if you look at it down this way, sometimes you can get thrown off by the nut. Somebody's actually shimmed our nut to make it look crooked for some reason. And then when I started to play on it, I was like, these frets are much larger than they're supposed to be. So someone has definitely refretted this. But there's a few frets that are just a little bit buzzy, like they still ring. But when sighting the neck, instead of being straight, it actually had a little bit of up bow here. So I've adjusted that to get us a little bit more clearance. And that seems to be helping that a bit. But I think when I sell this one, I might just say, maybe do a level recrown just in case. But in troubleshooting that, I noticed another part has been replaced. Did you guess the bridge? Well, yes, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Look at our poker chip. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Gibson ever issued one that's a Dorothy for the neck, Blanche on the bridge. I don't even know what that's talking about. I'm sure somebody in the comments does. But the Fire brand is a mahogany version of a Les Paul. And the true Fire brands, the non-deluxe, are kind of hard to find. But they get this black splatter paint antiquing to it. And since I've made that video, somebody has told me what the proper term is for that as far as fine furniture making. It's called fly specking. Now, as far as the fly specking on this one, honestly, it's not too bad, and usually these also have the nuts and bolts being dropped on it, so some of the dings you're seeing here are actually factory original. It's pretty much the first relict guitar that I can think of in Gibson's history. But another cool thing about this example is it actually left the factory, with the branded logo versus the silkscreen, but this particular one has the upgraded M6 Schaller tuners, just like on a Les Paul Custom. Not all these have that. Now, they also started life as a satin finish. You can tell this one has been played quite a bit. It's been buffed up in many of areas, including the back. And you've got some wear up here. So if you're interested in just the guitar, I will be posting this on my website, because I'll be saving this one back for my next special piece. Because it's always fun to have the case's case candy, just in case. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.